Welcome back, guys, to the channel. Dre Sanchez here, the Motivated Sim Pilot. Look, I'm glad we're done with touring Alaska. Now we're gonna take this Boeing 757-300 from Anchorage all the way to Hawaii. We're going to Honolulu. We are on the VATSIM network. If there's one thing we learned about that, is that you never know what pilot's gonna be in your area, even if there's no ATC on the VATSIM network. So I'm excited to fly on it again. And we're gonna be doing a lot of trip planning in here. So hopefully you guys will help me out with that. Once we get to Hawaii, we'll do some puddle jumps. We'll jump around islands, island hop a little bit, see what different aircraft. Maybe we'll take my B-1900. Haven't flown that in a while. We'll get some other turboprops in there, and then it's off to Asia. And I for sure will need you guys' help with that. I don't fly in Asia at all, so I need to learn the different procedures and protocols for existing in the air over there, such as transition altitude, operations on the ramp, all that good stuff. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to have you guys on board. You guys are gonna help me out. So guess what? Get back to your seat. You can put your tray table down, get your drink, get your chill on. Welcome aboard, and let's have a good time. All right, let's go ahead and jump on board and get this thing done.
All right, captains, welcome aboard this flight. Delta Airlines 318 service from Ted Stevens International here in Anchorage, Alaska, down to, and I do mean down, across the pond, down the pond, whatever you want to call it, down to Hawaii. I think I've done recorded flights in that maybe one time before, a long time ago. I really didn't even know what I was doing with these flight sim videos. Probably didn't even know how to fly. But that could still be the case today, but I got you guys on board, so I'm assuming we're going to do a great job. Teamwork, right? More than one set of eyes is better than these set of eyes, plus these are blind eyes, so I need you guys' help. So aircraft is cold and dark, as you see. We have no ground power, nothing. So what we need to do is get some power on the aircraft. We need to get the payload and fuel situated. We need to get the passengers on board. We need to get the aircraft into a loading configuration. Then we need to get out of here so we can get in the sky. Today's going to be interesting. If you guys haven't learned yet how to put in trans water flights, meaning you're going to get some latitude and longitude. I don't claim to be the resident expert, but we're going to put these waypoints in together so that you're not so scared about doing flights across any large body of water, where the fixes go from 5-letter names to latitude and longitude, which you need to consolidate that and put in as a fix. We'll work that issue together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make this happen. First, we are most certainly going to use this tablet feature here. And this tablet feature is pretty much doing all the load stuff here on this aircraft. So what we need to do is come over here to operations, and we need to go to ground. And then as we see, the GPU is already in place. But outside of that, we still need to get the passenger bus over here. Let's see here. We need to get the loader unit. Okay. And let's see, gate configuration. Let's do that. Yeah, we don't need the passenger bus. We'll need the fuel truck. And let's see here. Since we're at the gate, we'll just manage that. Now, if we go to the airplane, we need to open up some doors here. So we don't want to do open all. So let's do the forward cargo bin, the aft cargo bay area. And we can, let's see if the aircraft is parked at the front door or is it parked at the back door. Okay, so it's supposed to be at the front door, whatever. So we'll come back on here and we'll just, open this up. Assuming the passengers can get on, that way we can get everything loaded that we need to get loaded. And then, of course, let's close that for a hot minute. Let's come up top now and let's get that power on as promised. So we're going to hit the battery switch. We're going to close the dust cover. Airplane is going to come alive. And we're going to turn it to auto for the standby power. And the power is available. You can hear everything as far as the aircraft coming on board, as far as the power. And let's turn up some lighting. I like things bright. Okay, now we need to go ahead and get our position light, which would be the nav. The red light would be the beacon, and the white light is going to be the strobe. So we don't need any of that on right now. Let's go ahead and put the logo on. The flight deck door is going to be to auto. Now we need to come and arm our emergency lights and do the no smoking and all that stuff. So let's do seat belts, and let's do that to auto as well. And let's see where our emergency lights are. These are runway turnoffs. There's the chart. Perhaps we need to go further up top. Here it is right here. Okay, you always want to arm your emergency lights, get that dust cover closed, and of course we need to get the IRSs aligning. Alright. And then of course, let's go ahead and get that yaw damper button on, even though we won't be using that. We'll save that. Everything else we'll save here. Let's see, we'll get the isolation valve and APU bleed open once we get to that stage, which we are currently not. Again, we are on the VATSIM network. There is no observable ATC. Let's get that done. You can see the avionics. We got a little glitch here. I don't know what that's about here. Some shadowing or something there. Let's take a look, and I think that's just a glitch on the outside for whatever reason. Hopefully we don't glitch out too much here. Alright, now let's come here to the FMC. We're going to click on that, and we're going to do some position updating. In the meantime, let's clear this out. We first need to get our location where we're at now, which was Anchorage, and then we need Charlie in there. There we go. And then usually you come to the next page to get the position, but in this aircraft that's not the case, so we're just simply going to take that position right there and we're going to copy it into the actual IRS positioning. So now we have that coming up, so that should take some time. In the meantime, let's look at this glitching here. Hopefully this is only something from out here. Hopefully we can get that figured out. But nonetheless, let's get our tablet back going here. And let's see what we have here, folks. In the meantime, let's also plan our pushback really quick. Let's close this tablet down before we start doing that. And let's plan our pushback really quick. So if we come out here and we see the way this plane is oriented, the best way to push this thing back, we have an empty gate next to us, is to, let's see here, what do we want to do? Let's come down here. And let's see, we'll get her pushed back here. This is not on an active taxiway, and it's not for vehicles, it's simply for the planes to be staged. So we'll stage it here. Let's see here, and actually that's the dotted line of the taxiway, so we probably don't want to use that. Perhaps we'll push her back right here. Any oncoming vehicles will just have to wait. Let's see here, yeah, that wingspan would fit there. Again, we don't have anybody here, so we're just going to do something simple here. We're not going to belabor this, so that'll be our pushback.
Ground to cockpit.
Accept that.
Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Alright, we will most certainly call you through the menu when we are ready, brother. Alright, so now back onto the airplane. Okay, we have these doors open. Now let's go over to our ground operations. Now we definitely need to put some fuel on board. So let's take a quick peek at the flight plan. Let's see here. Let me get rid of a couple of those windows so we don't have too much stuff open. Okay, let's bring that in now. Got the basics open. Okay, here's our flight plan today. So we are going to Honolulu. The fuel required for that is 51,525 pounds of fuel at 6 hours of flying time. Our contingency fuel for anything is 2,576 pounds. It gives us 18 minutes of flying time. Our alternate is right here. You put a P in front of it. That'll be the IKO. It's 4,194 pounds of fuel to get there with 28 minutes of flying time. Our final reserve is 3,925 pounds of fuel, with a total block fuel of 62,920, which includes 700 pounds of fuel for the APU, or I'm sorry, for taxi right here. So the number here is 62,920. So at my discretion, I'm going to make this come up to 65. So we're going to be putting 65,000 pounds of fuel on. And then here is our route. Remember, disregard anything that says direct. Here's our route here. So it goes from a VOR right into latitude and longitude, which we are most certainly going to be putting in. So hopefully that all goes well. So in the meantime, that's what we're looking at. There's that for you. All right, so we're waiting for the IRS to initialize. Let's go ahead and load this aircraft. So we said we are going to be putting 65,000 pounds of fuel on board. A heavy one today, so let's go ahead and type this in. 5,000 pounds of fuel. We have to hit enter for that to go in. And then let's see our cargo weight here today, since it's going to be a full flight. Let's try 10,000 pounds. See what that does. I guess that's not even enough to fill anything else up. Let's try 20,000 and see what that does. There we go. Put some weight up there. So we got 20,000. So passengers. Let's see what this little thing does here. Oh, that just moves where they're at. Okay, we don't want that. So let's say we have, let's see what 160 passengers does on board. Okay, let's go for 180. It's pretty much a full flight. And even beyond 180, let's try 200. There we go. That's more realistic about a full flight. There'll be a few empty seats here and there just because people can't afford to pay that. And here is the configuration of the aircraft. And if we wanted to put more in the cargo, we could, but the weight is pretty much centralized here. Let's see, optimize CG. Okay, so I pushed it twice, and so that's the CG, or the center of gravity optimization. That looks good. So 200 passengers on board, 20,000 pounds of cargo, fuel weight is 65,000 pounds. We have a center of gravity of 22%, and here's our gross weight, 269,350 pounds. Our zero fuel weight is 204,350 pounds. So now we can most get everything, start getting it on the aircraft. Let's see, high pressure unit, GPU gate, we got the loader, the ICE passenger bus, fuel truck, so we can essentially start loading. Okay, now if we come out and take a look at the aircraft from the outside, we don't see the loaders there yet, but we've got this equipment in the background and you can most certainly hear it. So that is a good thing. Let's go ahead and jump back on board. And you know what, I'm gonna have to put this view. I downloaded some views with my camera. Let's slide our view a little bit up as we get that little, there we go. Let's try the first officer side too. Move his view just a little bit up. All right, so this little glitching here is gonna, I think it has something to do with the shadow outside. Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look here. And we've got everything off here. Now let's come to this display here and we'll type the engine in. And then our other status page will be here. Got our brake temps, APU, EGT. So we'll leave it on here because once we get the APU going, we will most certainly be using that. Now let's look at our flaps options today. We have flaps 1, 5, or 15. We are super heavy today, so I'm not even sure if I'm going to be taking off on flaps 5 or 15, but we'll get that all figured out shortly. All right. Still looks like I'm behind that seat a little bit when I look down. Sim problems. Okay, that's what it is. Let's come up a little more. There we go. We want to make sure we're sitting in the right space. All right. And this guy, let's get his armrest up and out of the way. And let's get this armrest up out of the way. All right, let's look down bottom while everything is initializing. What we can do is go ahead and put our squawk code in. It's going to be 2200. So there you go. That was super easy. Again, this is a fictional thing that we do on VATSIM to let them know that we are flying IFR, or if we're flying VFR. If it's VFR, it's just squawk code of 1200 and it's VFR. That way they'll know what's going on there. All right, let's make sure that's turned up. Let me make sure we don't need any PA cap. Okay, here's the PA. We need to make sure that's up and on. And let's just make sure that works so we can grab that tablet again. We can come right here and let's make sure the announcements works.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain and crew would like to welcome you on board this Boeing 757-300 airliner. If you haven't already done so,
aligning.
Please stow your carry-on luggage underneath the seat in front of you, or in an overhead bin.
And you can see here the fuel is definitely jumping on board right now.
Explain.org.
Okay, it's got a long ways to go. We got to get up to 65, so now what we can do, let's take a look at some charts while that IRS is still coming up before we put this flight plan in. So let's stand over here on the first officer side super quick. Now here we are. Let's take a look at exactly where we are. So here we are in the terminal. The winds today are out of the north. Okay. So here's the current weather report. We got 2984 on the altimeter. We have VFR conditions, and we've got 10 degrees, so north. And the winds are at 10 knots, so not bad. Visibility is still 10 miles. And then here's your cloud situation. We got some scattered, low 12,000, broken clouds at 17,000, and the temperature right now Fahrenheit's 10 degrees. So that's not too bad. So that's what we're looking at there. So now what we need to do is look at which runway we're going to be taking off. So this is a big boy. So typically we would be taking off of runway, let's see what 33 is looking at. It's 10,865 feet. That's more than enough runway. So I think we're going to choose runway 33 today. Simple taxi will just come right here. This looks like this is Kilo. And we'll just take Kilo all the way right here to the base of runway and take off on runway 33. So there is no specific departure. However, we'll look at our first heading and see if that's copacetic. But I think taking off runway 33 is going to be a great option. Obviously, we're going to have to do a turn to the south since we're heading south. We obviously know that. This would be an easier option actually to take runway 7 right, even though it'd be crosswind by 60 degrees offset. And then we could simply, hook a right and head south. But it's not about easy street, it's about doing the right thing. So we're going to take off on a northern runway, which will get us right into the wind to help us get this big body off the ground. So there's that. One other thing that we need to check on, folks, is we need to check on what the landing elevation is so that we can just put that in now. So if you look here, Honolulu's right at 13 feet elevation, which doesn't surprise me just simply because it is it's right at sea level. So let's get back to our gate chart here and let me get this out of your way. So now we can go ahead back up top and let's look and make sure everything is loaded. So here we go. We've got fuel in all tanks, 16, 33, and 16 gives us a grand total of 65,000 pounds of fuel. -3 Celsius outside, which is 10 degrees, and we said our landing altitude is going to be way lower than this. So we'll go to auto 1 on that, and we're going to come down. And not negative, we don't want that. So we'll do right here, right about 20 feet. So we depressurize correctly. Now let's look and see if our IRSs have aligned, and they have. So we're doing good, folks. Now we're going to come down here and get into the fun stuff. So we're going to come over here to the route and start typing this in. I don't necessarily, again, this is this was a camera set from it automatically downloaded, so I'm just going to make a couple adjustments to here for your guys' viewing pleasure. Gonna come in on it. There we go. Now you guys can see what's going on. Okay, so now we are most certainly going to put in the rest of the information. IRS nav to only, that's fine. It always says that. Pank, which is Anchorage, we're coming up, and then we're going over to Honolulu. Funny story, my parents actually went to Hawaii way back in the 80s when I was a kid, and they shipped us off to New York, and they had a great time. So I was actually supposed to get stationed there and turned it down. Didn't want to go to Hawaii and be trapped on an island, but we're going now. That's all that counts. All right, flight numbers, Delta Airlines, flight 318. Express service, as express as it could be for a 6-hour flight down to Hawaii. And then, of course, now we don't want to activate that yet. Let's get into the route. So the first waypoint, and let me pull that up on my second screen. Pantalla segunda. All right, all right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, first waypoint is Hotel Oscar Mike. Hotel Oscar Mike. Oh yeah. There we go. Okay, the next one we jump right into a grid coordinate or a latitude and longitude, which is 55 north by 155 west. So the way that we're going to put that in, so this is, I'm going to type it in the scratch pad the way it looks, and then we'll type it in the way it should be. So 55 north by 155 west. This is the way it looks. So essentially, in order to put this and make this like a fix, so this will accept VORs, airways, fixes, and it'll also accept this, but we have to put this in order of a fix. So essentially what we're going to do is we take the 55, we keep that, we're going to get rid of the W, take the N to the back, get rid of the first digit of this, and it'll be 5555N. So again, we're taking the first two digits, we're taking the north, it's going to be all the way to the back, it's going to get rid of the W, and we're getting rid of this first figure. So if anything, the easy way to say it would be, the first thing to keep in mind is the second, whether it's west or east coordinate, you're going to get rid of the first digit, okay? And then you're going to get rid of the west or the east, and you're going to put the north. In this case, it's going to all be north and west. So this should be super simple. So now we're going to go 5555 north, and this should take it 55 north. That should be something that it's going to accept. So we got 4 5s in the north, so that's that waypoint. So we're going to keep doing that. The next one is 50 north by 157 west. So let's do this again. I repeat, it's 50 north 157 west, which we usually say by. So you're going to go in here and you're going to take the 5 and the 0, and then we're going to get rid of the 1 out of the 157, and we're going to put 57, and it's north, and it's coming right in there, folks. Booyah. The next one, and then we'll check this out in our planning feature, the next one is 45 north by 157 west, so that'll be 4557 west. So 45 57 45 57 north. I said west, but I meant north. That point is in there. Then the next one we're doing is 40 north by 157, so this one's going to be 40 57 in 40 4057 November. There we go. Moving right along. The next one is going to be 35 56 north. 35 56 north. Oh yeah. The next one will be 30 56 north. So the coordinate is 30 north by 156 west. So we're going to do 30 56 north. So 30 56 norte. Aquí está. 3056 north, and then we start getting back into the easy stuff. Now we're going into Zulu. Again, sounds like a strong African something. Outside of it sounding like, you know, the Greenwood GMT time, which we also call Zulu time. But it's not spelled like this, it's Z-U-L-U, so this is Zulu warrior. I'm a Zulu warrior. That's what I am. Anyway, silly warrior is really what I am. Alright, now we're going Ziggy. That is Zulu, India, and Golf, India, Echo. Alright. Let's see here. A little sweaty nose here. Nothing ever came good of sweaty nose. Alright, now there's Ziggy. Now we're going to go into an arrival. But for the meantime, let's click activate on that and execute. But then now we can still come back in here into the departure, but we don't want that. We need to go into this index here and then go right on over here. And we are arriving on the Maggie 3, as you can see here. And of course, if you guys remember the transition into Ziggy, there you go. We won't choose a runway or anything. Let's execute that. Now let's go back to the route. Okay. So the route is looking good. Now we have to go from Zulu going to Ziggy. So now I guess we need to type that Ziggy back in. Where is Golf? E. Okay, invalid entry. So let's clear that out. Now, one thing I noticed is I can come over here to legs and do it over here as well. So you can just essentially pipe that in there and pop that in there. And then hit execute. Now let's go back to route and make sure that looks fluid. There it is. And I like it. Now, before we move on, let's do a couple of things here before I forget. First of all, let's go ahead and put our cruising altitude all the way up to 36,000 feet. I love this old school. And then we're going to put our flight director on. We won't worry about this or anything here. We'll get the heading on once we figure out the runway heading is and all that good stuff. And then now, of course, I want to put in the altimeter. It's kind of fun flying these old analog aircraft. Like that Middle Eastern little aircraft. You never know. I could be Jamaican or I could go to the Middle East aircraft. Or I can jump down south like here we have here in the United States. Anyway, I don't even know why you guys are hanging out with me. It doesn't make any sense. Here we go. The altimeter, as we said, is 2984. So, okay, I always do that. It's always this side. 2984 on that. Now let's check any other standby altimeter. 2984. Let's go to the first officer side and see what he or she's talking about, depending on who you are, because you guys are all my first officers, right? Thank you very much. Let's see, 2984 plugged in. Now we are done doing that piece. Now let's go back down to the FMC. And you guys should be reminding me to button up the doors. So now we're going to come here, hit this switch. It'll type in the gross weight and then our zero fuel weight. Reserves on board. Let me accurately, and I added, it was 62. I added about another 2,000 something pounds. So full reserve, we got alternate is 4. Final is that, so that's roughly 4 and 3, 7, 8. Okay, so we have about 10,000 pounds of reserves on. So if we hit that, that stands for 10,000 right here. Our cruising altitude today is 36,000 feet, folks. And of course, our cost index, we're going to go with 45 cost index. I should have done that in my flight plan, but I didn't. Unable cruise altitude. Okay, let's clear that out. And I want to know if flight level 380 would be a better one. Okay, so whatever is saying that for whatever reason. So we're going to go back to, I was just curious. We're not selling out. We're sticking to flight level 360. Which is going to be okay. So we're sticking with that. Let's go to takeoff. I believe we want to take off flaps 15 as heavy as we are. And okay, that is valid. Let's hit our CG. Normally that comes up. And let's see here. So flaps 15, thrust takeoff. Oh, okay, we got to do our reference speeds there. Okay, so these are the reference speeds of flaps 15. You can see that's a pretty fast rotate speed there because this sucker is going to be heavy. So hopefully this bad boy ate its Wheaties today. Now we are all complete. Now what this says is select reference speeds. There would be another chart or other paperwork or documentation, or in this day and age it would actually be a tablet, I'm sure, with an app. You would plug in center of gravity, zero fuel weight, gross weight, the flaps orientation, and whatever other information as far as variables that it wanted, and then it would essentially spit you out a number and you would just type it in. Well, we don't have that app, so essentially I have this FMS set up to where when we plug everything in, it calculates those speeds for us, and that's why I did it. Math is not hard at all. I got a degree in business, never thought I would do so much math when I was younger. I sucked at math, but you know, it's not too bad. So it's all about a formula, aggregating the information that you need, selecting the information, plugging it into the XYZ, and getting it on the other side of the equal sign. Too easy. Okay, so now this is all initialized here, and I most certainly like it. So now we are going to go over to the first officer side for a quick moment, and we are most certainly going to check this FMS out. So now what I want this person to be on is I want them to be, the person being you, I want them to be on this. Yes, we know it's out of date, which never makes sense because it's all in date. And there we go. We are looking good. So we'll leave this, your side, I should say, on that. Now let's see here what our stab trim is going to be. It's still an acceptable trim. If it doesn't look good, we will fix the trims over here if we need to. Let's see. Okay, park and brake is up. Just wanted to make sure. These aircraft do funny things at the gate when they spawn in. So now, CG, thrust. Okay, see there it says trim 5.1. That's what I wanted to see. So now it says trim 5.1. Let's go over here and actually see where that trim is at. 4, 5. It's close enough. Okay, this is 6. This would be, 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4. So it's generally it's right there. I mean, we may need to touch it a little bit, but it's 4. So we need to bring it up just slightly. So we'll get those trims all squared away, folks. I promise you. In the meantime, guys, I think we are getting close to success. Let's go ahead and start that APU. But before that, let's go ahead and get the aircraft buttoned up. Operations, ground. What do we got here? Okay, so for operations, we're going to want to go over to airplane first, and we're going to want to go to close all. I do say getting close all. See, I'm getting better at this, guys. Normally I forget to do. I get so happy to get out of here. And we got to keep the GPU on, but we can get rid of all this, the loader unit, because it is loaded up. That's what's currently on the aircraft. I exit again. You like that? Okay, now let's go up top and let's go ahead and start the APU. Super simple, guys. On to start. It'll kick off a start when it's done, or it should come back to on. And it automatically turned that pump on right there. So let's just go ahead and put that on. Let's come down here and look. Okay, as you can see, the APU exhaust gas temperature is coming up. Let's go down here and see if this has an APU display as well. It doesn't, so it's just going to be displayed right here. There's the RPMs. Again, there's that glitch, and hopefully once we pull back from the gate, that'll fix itself. All right, let's go up top. Okay, you see it actually put itself back to on now. So now we can come over here to on, right? Now we can get rid of the ground power. So we don't need it because now we have the APU generator on. Then we have to turn the bleed on. So we got to open that valve. You can see the duct pressure coming up. And let's open the isolation valve, which that heat and air, hot air, will be used to start the engine. Let's make sure the packs are off, which is awesome. They are. All right, let's let the flight crew ready that we'll be pushing back soon. All right. Everything is looking good here. All right. Okay, now that the APU is on, we can go ahead and start turning a lot of our switches on. All right, let's get our fuel pumps on. We do have fuel in the center pumps, or we do have fuel in the center tank. Okay, on. Press. Those are all on. Those will come up once the engines get started up. Window heat and the rest of this we'll get. Oh, we can actually get this going here. And these will also initialize once we turn the air out. We'll get all those on, folks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get pushed back. So before we push back, we need to go ahead and turn on our red anti-collision light to let folks know that we are most certainly ready to go. And I do say we because you're on board, so you got to take some ownership in this too. Okie dokie. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this first and just make sure that we have a good plan. As promised, we need to go ahead and cycle through that. So the way that you do that here, in this aircraft, we're going to come down to this wonderful little feature here. And let's see, you can't really see it, but anyway, we're going to switch this to the plan feature. So So now that's switched over to the plan feature. So what we're going to see now is exactly that, a plan. Let's look and see. Okay, so now we're going to step through it. So we need to come over here to legs, and we need to go back to the previous page. Okay, now we're going to start stepping through it. Okay, so let us. Okay, so now we're here on the actual first waypoint, which is out in the middle of the water. Now we're stepping on through. Make our turn. Zulu. Let's go back. That looked kind of strange. Let's see here. So let's go back to the previous page. Okay, so there's the airport. There's the first point. We'll get that. It'll look better than that. Then 55 north. 505 north. There we go. And just keep in mind we're heading this way. There's north, so we're heading south. Then we come 30 and then we make a little turn. Zulu, Ziggy, and then on in. There's top of descent, which I don't know if that's exactly where it will be. So let's go back one more time to the previous page to make sure it looks good. Let me see how. Okay, that's why. So here's Anchorage. Okay, we're going to take off north. This is the first waypoint. So essentially we're going to take off this way. If we're going to come back to this point and go around, we may just go direct to the other point, to be honest with you, since we're flying our own route here, because that looks kind of labor just to do that turn. So we may take off to the north and just go direct to this 55 north, which is here, and then on track. I think that's what we're going to do. So we can essentially do our direct intersection, do this first one. We come over here and look at it. It is 98 nautical miles, and then from this point to this point, for whatever reason, this one looks like it may be off. Let's try that one again. Let's see, 555 north. I don't know why that's saying that's so far away. Let me go check that waypoint, because that doesn't look right at all. 55, get rid of the 1. 55 west. These ones look good. 98, but this one looks very strange. Let's go to legs here. Let's go back up. This is one reason why we're checking it out, because this actually wouldn't have us on the right path here. $55 north. So I wonder almost if we should do 5555W here. And actually we may just go direct here, because that makes more sense. Because this is somewhere else in the world. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to bypass this one and we're going to go straight to this one, because this makes sense. And see, like, this one is incorrect as well. So essentially, let's do this. We'll delete, because I don't know why it's doing that. That one looks good. This one looks good. So let's delete this guy. Then we will... Okay, unable cruise altitude. We'll put this person right here. Let's execute that. Okay, here's another strange looking one. So let's get rid of this one as well. just need to make sure this all makes sense. So if we miss one or two, and see this one is saying 3,020, the whole route's not even that long. So let me see if I do something here. 5, let's see, 5, 0, 5. I told you we were going to work this out together. 5, 0, 5, 7. Let's do west. Okay, that's 8,000, so that's not it. 98 nautical miles there. And let's take a look here. 55 north by 155 west. We may have to do some reconfiguring here because I don't think these are the right waypoints. Just to be honest with you. 55, 7, da da da. Okay. Because this first point is definitely saying it's way too far. So I must have entered these in. These are the correct points, but I think I need to essentially 45 north, 157. So let me try something here. So that's not right. Let me see something here. Let's go west. 55, 55. Let's see if this does something. Okay, that not in database. Okay, so that's not one. We tried 55 west. That's even further away from where we're at. 800, so that's not it. Let's see. Here's another thing we can try. Okay. And that's also the coordinate. That's 6,000 miles away. So I wonder if we do west 55, 55. Probably not in the database. Alright, so something here I am doing wrong. Essentially, we should not be this far off at our first waypoint. That's the problem. Let's see what the distance is. Let's see, once we get to Homer, top of climb. Okay, so the distances shouldn't be that bad. It should be 117. The first one is like 272 to 55 north, 155. Alright, let me double check something here. Okay, let's try this one. This might get it. Let's try 55 north, 55. There we go. Alright, so not so bad, guys. So let me go back in and redo this whole route. I figured it out now. So essentially I just looked online really quick at another example of someone, and so essentially I was doing it a different way. So now let me go back to those waypoints, and then see, that's why you always are supposed to check the flight plan, because you get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, the passengers are not going to be too happy with your water. Okay, so let's redo all of this, and then we'll get where we need to go. So, alright, 55 north, so essentially 50 north, 57. 50. Okay, so we're gonna go 50 north, 57 for our next point. Okay, that looks about right. 305, 309. Okay, then the next one will be 45 north, 57. 45, oops. 45 north, 57. Okay, that looks right. And then 40 north, 57. 40 north, 57. Okay, now we're doing well. Let's go to the next page. Boom, boom, boom. Then we're gonna go to 35 north, 56. 30. This thing keeps coming up. 35 north, 56. Okay. Then after, that's 304. Then after that, we go 30 north, 56. So then 30 north, 56. Boom. And then after that, we go into Zulu. 30 north, 56. Okay, so then now we come down here and we're gonna go to Zulu. Alright, I think that can be executed. Now we can go back and take a look at the flight plan. Thank you guys for being patient with that. So now it looks a lot more copacetic. It doesn't look as bad as it did. There we go. Everything is tying in the way it should be. Booyah. Alright folks, so that's one thing. That's why you always want to double check your flight plan. Before you commit to it. Let me just change the view on that really quick. Alright folks, boom. No worries there. I'm telling you, with you guys on board, we are unstoppable. Alright. Let's just get out of here now. So let's go ahead and get our better pushback going.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right, the tow is driving up, and you guys know what that means. It is time to put our squawk code on. And then of course, let's work on those trims. Since we have the APU on and we have our hydraulic pumps on, we should be able to get here. So let's zoom in there and let's get this thing. Let's see, we said 5.1. There we go, folks. Looks close enough to 5.1. We're all the way down here. This is 5, there's 1. Let's go ahead and double check the actual
okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to
complete.
connect.
As you see, trim 5.1. And then there's our rotate speed. So there we go. All right, they are connecting. Let's see here. All right.
Tow connected and bypass been inserted. Release parking brake.
Let me check something here. It's awfully peculiar. Not showing up the VATSIM scope. So I just want to make sure we are connected. Aircraft is at Anchorage. For whatever reason, it's doesn't quite show us connected there. Let me just come back in here, disconnect and reconnect. Let's turn this to off. Now you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I'm using basically the client here. Disconnect. We are call sign Delta Airlines 318. Okay. Let's reconnect. Delta Airlines 318, Boeing 757. Let's refile our flight plan. Alright, so we're on the network. No big deal. Just wanted to make sure. Now we'll get this back on. So no matter what, we are on the network. And let's get this on to where we can receive. There we go. Alright, so that's up, that's on. Alright folks, no more playing games. Now it is time to get pushed back. And once we get pushed back, we will most certainly make our announcement. Parking brake is off.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
And we'll wait on that. Again, more than likely, we're going to take this heading and we're going to put it on, we're on runway 33, so the heading should be around 330. The runway heading is 329, actually. So, we are going to take off north, and I believe we will just do a nice left turn back on course here. So this is west, so we can pretty much do a southeastern turn to intersect the line, and then we'll go direct. Okay? So that's what we'll do. I don't know, I feel like I'm sitting super high in this seat, so let's bring that down slightly from make that better. There we go. That's more of a realistic look for us. Okay, so there is the other guy. There's Alaska Airlines right there. Alaska 73. So we're online. It's all good. I don't know why we're not showing up on the scope. We should be getting a turn here. Alright, let's get our lights up. Map light up here. Alright, folks. And see this guy? He's crossing runway 7 left. Okay, Alaska 73. We realize you're crossing runway 7 left. Are you up on voice, sir? Okay. Maybe he's not up on voice. But he just sent a text message on the network that he's coming up. Okay, he says, okay, roger that, sir. Hope you had a good flight. Nice to see you online. Alright, so he's only talking via text. Thanks, same. So he can hear us, but he probably doesn't have a mic or something. So let's go ahead and get our in-flight services. Doors have already been to auto, so let's go ahead and get that safety demonstration.
Ladies and gentlemen, we request your full attention as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of the
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Sign illuminates.
Okay.
You must fasten your seatbelt.
Parking
Insert
brake
the
is set.
metal fittings one under
Disconnecting
the
tow.
other and
Stand
tighten
by.
by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the bucket.
Alright, we can go ahead and get the aircraft started now, folks.
Throughout the flight, as we may experience.
So we're going to come up top, and we're going to put this into... Actually, let's... I'll give you guys a better view. We're going to put this...
and 2 over each wing.
Start.
Please take a few moments now to locate your nearest exit. In some cases,
there's an Alaska aircraft there.
It may be behind you. If
nice
you need
looking
to
Boeing
evacuate
737.
the aircraft, floor level lighting will
Let's
guide
go to
you
engine
towards
here.
the exit.
Alright, now we need to throw the fuel in.
By moving the handle in the direction of the arrow. Each door is equipped with an inflatable slide, which may also be detached and used as a life raft. Oxygen and the air pressure.
Host disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Alright, thank you. Hand signal on the right.
Start the flow of oxygen. Pull the mask towards you. Place it.
He'll be over here waving here in a second.
Secure the elastic band behind your head and breathe normally. Although the bag does not inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask.
I had to mute the mic real quick. They want to sneeze in your ear.
Someone will require
Alright.
Secure your mask on first, and then assist the other person.
This
Keep
one is
your
on.
mask on until a uniformed
Back to
crew
auto.
member advises you to remove it. In the event of an emergency, please assume the bracing position. Lean forward with your hands on top of your head and your elbows against your thighs. Ensure your feet are flat on the floor.
Alright, throw some fuel in.
Vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so,
Getting flying time
open the
today is
plastic
6
pouch
hours.
and remove the vest. Slip it over your head, pass the straps around your waist, and adjust at the front. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the red cord, only when leaving
Alright.
the aircraft.
Now we're going to go up top.
The vest, blow into
Fuel
the
pumps are on. Now we need to get our
Use
bleeds
the
on.
whistle and light
So
to
now
attract
let's go ahead
attention.
and
Also, your seat bottom cushion
gonna turn
can
our
be
packs
used
on.
as a flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat.
Right.
Slip your arms into
Close the
strap
isolation valve.
and tuck the
Close the
cushion
APU
over
bleed.
the following electronic
Now we're going to go ahead and get our generators on.
CD players, laptop computers.
Alright, you guys can see the power is changing over there. Let's get our trim air on and our recirculation fans left and right. Let's go ahead and disconnect the APU, and we're going to go ahead and turn that off.
We remind you that this is a non-smoking
Alright, isolation valve is closed. APU bleeds are off. Packs are on. We got duct pressure. We have the landing altitude. We have the pressurization set to auto. No smoking, and passenger seatbelt signs are on.
We strongly suggest you read it
Now we need to come up, get our window heat on,
If you have any questions, please don't
and do any last checks up here. If anything that doesn't look good, everything is on and confirmed. On and confirmed. Alright, we got a nice little taxi there. Alright, let me just go up here one more time and double check the weather before we get our flaps down and get final preparations made. Weather is, it's even better. It's 20 degrees now, so still doing good. We still could take runway 7. We're going to take runway 33. And again, that altimeter now is 2981. 2981. First officer side 2. And we're going 29er, wrong side, 2981. Alright. Okay, back on the other side we go. And let's go ahead and we're going to get our turn off lights on, as well as our nose gear. Getting our flaps down. Alright. Flaps are to 15 here. And we can come over here and make sure that's indicated. So we're still in transition. In the meantime, let's go ahead and get our brake to RTO, which stands for rejected takeoff. We're still watching the flaps travel. Still has another 10 degrees to go to flaps 15. And we just need to wait for that to be indicated to make our announcement. Okay, flaps 15 is indicated, check. Alright, now one last thing that we need to do, which I need to look for the placard. There's usually, okay, I think it's, let's see, it's always good to keep your flaps, oh, it's right on the gauge itself. Okay, so if you see here, max speed flap limiting for the indicated airspeed is 215 knots. Okay, so just to be on the safe side, we only have our set to 173, but we're going to set it for 200 so that we don't overspeed. We'll go right into a flight level change, and then we'll make sure that we have our auto throttles put on and that we initially go into the heading mode so that we can make our change, but that we can get on flight level change and go from there for best climb out. All right, folks. Up top, let's double check the lights here. Nose gear is on, red beacon is on, nav lights are on, logo and runway turnoff lights are on, and our taxi is simply going to be via Kilo. Anchorage traffic, Delta 318 will be taxiing via Kilo for takeoff on runway 33 out to the north with a turn to the west and then a turn to the south for Anchorage traffic. Alright, so we most certainly are ready to go. Let me just get my seat position correct. Alright, folks. Parking brake is released. Let's go flying. Alright, there goes that guy. His plane is actually, it's one of those planes where it doesn't correctly show the right elevation even on the ground, so it's not in the database. Or the plane is, but the elevation and all that's not in the database, so that's why it's showing up like that. Yeah, you guys see that reading up there? All right. All right, let's taxi nice and easy there.
Anchorage traffic, Cessna 904 Tango taking off 3 for reach to the last strip 7.
Rather than Cessna, I'm the Boeing 757 right behind you. I'll give you ample time to get up and make your turns. If you could, just let me know when you are off runway heading, sir. All right.
Yep, I'll let you know in a second. Cessna 904 Tango.
Thank you, brother. Have a safe flight and happy holidays to you. All right. So we don't want to have a repeat of one of the times we flew in here, which I believe was yesterday's flight.
And to the Delta jet behind us, we're clear. 3-3, Merry Christmas. Have a good trip.
Thank you, sir. You have yourself a good flight as well, and happy holidays to you and your family for Delta 18. All right. So let's just give, there he's up in the sky. He's already off, but we're a jet, so. Okay, Anchorage traffic. Delta 318 is lining up on runway 33, waiting, giving the Cessna some more time to get out of the airspace, and we'll advise when we are rolling for takeoff for Delta 318, Anchorage traffic. All right, so we're going to make sure we don't run into him, but in the meantime, let's get our landing lights on. All lights up top are on. And of course, don't forget, guys, we've had the safety brief. Now we need to let the flight staff know seats for takeoff.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
All right, seats for takeoff, folks. Parking brake is released. Check final. Once again, guys, thanks a lot for joining us here today on this wonderful flight. Should get a little bit brighter outside. We're in Anchorage traveling south, so of course this is early, late morning, early afternoon. That's just the way it looks here.
Anchorage traffic, Cessna 51904 Tango Type 206 turbine over Cessna Flats heading westbound. This is Flats traffic.
All right. Let's go ahead and get all lined up here. Right, come to a quick halt. Let's get our auto throttle on, and we're gonna put it in the heading mode so that as soon as we go and get our autopilot on, we'll be straight and we'll do a flight level change, folks. All right. Anchorage traffic, Delta 318, taking off runway 33 out to the north with a turn to the west and then to the south for Anchorage traffic. All right, folks. Market brake is released. Takeoff power is set. She's heavy, so she's going to take a while to get down this runway. Airspeed is alive. $80 knots. 100 knots. $130. Up on V1 and rotate. Positive rate.
Number 14 goes type 206 over the mouth of the big stew. 700 feet westbound. This is the traffic.
Pick up some speed here. Landing gears up. All right. Let's go ahead and get that autopilot on. Flight level change. Let's go up to 200. Anchorage traffic, Delta 318 is clear. Runway 33, continue on runway heading, climbing up, unrestricted to flight level 360 for Anchorage traffic. Alright, flaps are coming up, or actually we're reducing flaps one stage. Alright, if we can see here, climb it up smartly. Alright, aircraft is stable. Let's go ahead and start that turn. Alright, flaps coming up. Pick the speed up. Alright, flaps coming all the way up. They are in transit. Go up to 250. Prescribed altitude under 10,000 feet. Alright, let's keep our turn going. Alright folks, we can get those runway turn-off lights off. The nose gear, we'll leave the landing lights on. Let's get our trusty tablet out.
Ladies and gentlemen, our aircraft continues to climb. We would like to remind you that all flights of our airline are non-smoking. For your safety, the lavatories have been equipped with smoke detectors. Damaging or disconnecting the smoke detectors is strictly prohibited. On the overhead panel you will find the
Alright, we are still climbing.
and a flight attendant button.
We are on the intercept course.
Class passengers are located in the front of the airplane, and for the economy
Once we
class
get closer,
passengers in the back.
we will most certainly go
For
direct.
safety, when seated, we recommend to keep your seat belts fastened, even when the fasten seat belt sign is off.
Alright, so far so good. Just monitor this climb for now. All right. Got a vertical speed of about 2,100 feet on a climb. Now let's go ahead and increase the range. So you can see there's Homer. So as soon as we get right on the line, I'll go direct, and then we'll also put the aircraft into nav. And once we get above 10,000 feet, we will most certainly put the aircraft into a higher speed element.
Traffic, Cessna 914 goes type 206, 700 feet westbound for draft number Blue traffic.
All right. Cessna's doing a great job of doing his call-outs. I love when folks get on here and do the right thing. This is not a gamer's world. This is a simmer's world, so we do look for the immersion, which means we're looking for the realism, which means please do your due diligence, learn ATC, learn right procedures, do the best you can, don't give up. Nothing hurts to try, but or nothing hurts to fail, but to try. So keep trying. Hopefully I got that saying right. Yo no sé si yo habla bien, pero you guys let me know. All right, getting ready to come up on 10,000 feet. First and foremost, let's go ahead and knock those landing lights off to save those light bulbs for the long duration of this trip. Now we can most certainly get this aircraft to go up to 280 knots. Eventually I'll be putting the LNAV and the VNAV on. Okay, we're pretty much close enough to Homer. So now what we're going to do, folks, we're going to come here, we're going to go to this direct feature, and we're going to direct Homer. We're going to type that bad boy in, and we're going to execute that. Now we're just going to come up here and put this bad boy in the LNAV. And now we are direct Homer on course. And that's how you do that, folks. We ain't playing around. Look at those winds coming off the left side at 25 knots. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and square up our heading. You always want to make sure your heading bug is squared up to the direction of flight that you're traveling in, just in case you need to make some adjustments and you want to do it using the autopilot. Alright, let's look at the VNAV here and see if we can just basically go into VNAV mode. Alright, 332, 336, 305, Mach 81. Let's see what our Mach number is right now. We're just going to continue to climb here until we get higher. I love the fact that this panel's not glitching anymore, or hopefully it won't be. All right, folks, not doing bad at all here today. All right. Weather might update. I'm updating my Active Sky Next with the right flight plan. I thought I had put it in. So we'll see if anything updates or it stays the same. There we go. Getting a little bit of chop. Let's go back here and see what is going on back here. I don't know why that's so high. There we go. All right, we are cruising on this big body. (16,000 feet). Once we get to flight level 180, we will most certainly put the aircraft into the standard altimeter of 2990. Getting ready to hit this cloud ceiling here. Into the clouds we go, but guess what? We're flying IFR this time, so there's no worries there. Not like when we were flying VFR. Alright, we'll be going out over that coast here soon. Alright, we are at 18,000 feet, my friends. 299er2 is coming up. Alright, 299er2, we need to get it down here as well on the standby altimeter. And of course, you know what we got to do on your side. I'll help you guys out, and I'll put you in 299er2 as well. There we go, folks. We are essentially cruising. Climbing, not cruising yet, but I'm saying we're cruising because we're flying. It's a wonderful thing to do. We're making it happen today. You know, what more can we ask for? Beautiful. So she was heavy. We definitely chose the right runway, and you know, after we were committed past that V1, I was like, all right, come on. I think I can, but you guys saw she's heavy. She is a heavy bird today. All right. Looks like we have top of climb here. Under 80 nautical miles. You see here, this is representing our top of climb here. And it looks like the aircraft is making all concessions. So this curved line is actually our pitch right now, how we're pitched up in our speed and our climb. The circle and the TC stands for top of climb. And essentially, this line should be right on this. It's pretty close because the aircraft has to factor in all of the variables, wind, speed, all that good stuff to try to keep there. So it's doing a pretty good job. And then of course you see the top of climb is just south of, or just north of, if you will, just north of our first waypoint. Alright, so we'll keep 280 for right now. We'll eventually turn that Mach number over. Let's come down here and check and see how we're doing. We've got 53. Now, here's another good thing when you're doing your flight plan. And you see how earlier we kind of made a mistake because I put the latitude and longitude in wrong. Instead of doing 5555 north, and that one, it has to be 55 north, and then the last two, and then you get on route. So some aircraft may require it to be a little bit different, but this is how we're doing it in here. So make sure you save this as a like video, hopefully, right? Or save it, so if you ever need to know how to do that, you'll be able to do it. Just watch this video. Because I may even have to go back and reference it if I don't fly, you know, over any large bodies of water where we have to do that. But essentially, that's how you put it in. And then you can also look to re-verify that you are putting in the right coordinates. You want to look at the mileage, but you also want to look at the heading. There should, if your route is generally south, you don't want to see a heading that all of a sudden got you going west, like 270 or something like, or back north, because that doesn't make sense. So you can look at these distances and then look at the headings. These are all southern headings. We get a little bit of a change here at Ziggy, which makes sense because that gets us, that's our first waypoint on the arrival of the Maggie 3 or whatever it was, arrival. See the Maggie, so it's all southern and then it goes to the west. So that makes sense because we're going down. Here's Anchorage. We're going to go south. Here's Hawaii right here, so that we make that turn on the arrival and we're there. So you always just want to make sure that you're paying attention to all of that good stuff. Okay, we've got about 11,000 to go. We're at 25,000. We need to get up to flight level 360. But as it stands right now, it looks like there are going to be no more clouds above us. So it'll probably be dark by the time that we get to Hawaii, so sorry about that, but we'll do our best to get there as quickly as possible. Now, one thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here to the first officer side, your side, and we're going to switch your FMS to reference the program feature. This is a great feature to tell you about information on the aircraft, the progress, and our current location. So here's the winds, and if you go back here, you'll see our next waypoints. It'll show our final destination. It gives us a fuel prediction of 13,000 pounds of fuel. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Getting there. This may go up as we get up, and it shows here to top of climb. It gives us the time, and it also gives us the nautical miles there. Of course, we forgot to start our flight timer, but that's okay. Start it down here. We'll just add about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes on that. So anyway, this is essentially the goodness that we're cooking, and this will update so you guys will be able to stay over here. Now, let's say we need to give a position report when we are, you know, let's say ATC comes on and we need to give a position report about our last waypoint or about our next longitude and latitude or where currently at. You can actually click on this, and this is going to give you your position report, your next waypoint. So you'll be estimated to be at first waypoint at 2144 Zulu, next waypoint of 55 North 55, which you could actually just read the actual from your flight plan what it is, and then that's how you would give your position report using this. And then the fuel, where we're currently at, we have 62,900 pounds of fuel on, so that's what you would give the ATC. So that's what you guys are going to be responsible for, is that position report and monitoring that. I'll take care of this. Alright, and you can see our Mach number here reflected in the analog gauge, and then you can also see it reflected here on the digital gauge. And here's our ground speed of 384 nautical, or 384 knots. I'm sorry, not indicated, ground speed. The indicated is here. And then our true airspeed is right here. So our true airspeed, which means exactly where we're at elevation-wise, air density, that's how fast we're going. We're going 428 knots. Over the ground, because we're higher over the surface of the Earth, and the Earth is curved and the air is more dense, therefore we don't travel as fast over at that certain point. We're only going 385 knots, which is still different than miles. You still have to multiply knots by 1.150 in order to get the correct miles per hour. And then here's our indicated, the 280. So you got indicated airspeed, which is indicated on your flight instruments. Then you have ground speed. That's how fast we're traveling on the ground. If you were to take a line straight down to the ground and plug it, that's how fast we'd be going over the ground. And then the true airspeed is 436 knots and climbing. So that's how you kind of figure that out, folks. You guys can Google that and really figure out what the differences are between the two. I highly recommend you do that if you're serious about your sim life. Alright, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to pull the speed back slightly so the aircraft can pitch up a little bit more. Our climb had stopped, but that's because we're going slightly faster. Now we'll go ahead and select that Mach number, and we'll leave it at Mach 0.73 so that we get a little bit of a better climb. Once we get all the way up, I'm just going to put it into the VNAV feature. And the reason why I'll be doing that is because if you see on the legs here, it'll calculate our descent. So here's, okay, so let's just even challenge ourselves to take a look at that really quick. So if we go into the arrival, is the Maggie 3. And we really take a look at what this looks like. It's one of those arrivals that it's like, all right, doesn't really have a whole lot of information of where we should be. But you can take a look here and see that here's the correct heading. So on the descent, we'll kind of be monitoring it on our own. Once I figure out what the winds are doing, I'm essentially going to make the descent match up to where I need to be on my approach, if you will. So that's kind of what we're going to do, because if you go back and look at the FMS, it's not going to be super specific. It might even, sometimes they even have a number in here of the altitude, which is not even really accurate. Okay, so at CKH 22400, which that's about right. So we'll probably let the aircraft do its own descent. And then if we need to do any circle or anything, we'll figure it out. But it's 2,000 feet at CKH. So I guess the next thing I would do is just pretty much figure out what the arrival looks like, or as far as the approach. And as you guys can see here, we're still climbing about 1,000 feet per minute because I set this in that particular mode. Then we'll get it up to Mach 0.81, then we'll hit the VNAV. Now that we're on our long stretch, we can most certainly go ahead and advance this. And then you see there's our next waypoint, 300 and something nautical miles out that way. So essentially, we are on our own. Let's check our fuel stores up here. Everything looks good here in the center tank. We're going to be burning this primarily first, and then as we get closer, we'll start digging into these. We still have a total of 57,300 pounds of fuel on board. Everything up top is looking good. Once we level out, we will most certainly let the flight crew know about it. Indicated airspeed is going up and down here, or not indicated airspeed, I'm sorry, the vertical speed. But we're almost going to be at our cruise here. Alright, unable cruise altitude. So basically what it's saying is that once we got to Homer, the altitude must have been set for 36,000 feet already. It's just letting you know the plane passed Homer and didn't make that cruise altitude, which is okay. You see that? It was unable physically because of the speed that we're doing and the fact that we're still in a climb. So we have about 1,000 to go, however long that takes us. That's all that unable cruise altitude means on the FM message. It just simply means, hey, you are, okay, we got an altitude alert, so we're within 1,000. That's why the green light came on. It also came on here. But it's essentially saying, hey, we're not going to make that altitude at that waypoint, which is fine. I think it's more important when we're on a specific standard instrument departure to meet those requirements. That's usually closer to the airport. And then the other restrictions, or guidance, meaning speed and a certain above altitude or below, sometimes you get the A. So essentially, if you see it on your line, if you see it on your chart and it's, let's say, 10,000, you need to be at that point, and it's over a line, it's minimum you should be at 10,000. If the line is over the 10,000, that means you need to be below 10,000. If there's two lines over the number, that means you need to be right there at that altitude. So it's more important when you're following specific standard instrument departures or standard terminal arrivals or stars to be at the right speed and at the right altitude, because other planes are relying on you to do that as well. So is air traffic control for spacing and just to know where you're at. So having said that, we didn't really need to worry about that because we just kind of controlled our own ascent up to our final cruising here, which we got less than 400 to go. So I'm sure the plane will be happy about that, and then we can get that message on to the cab crew in the back so that they can start distributing drinks and people can get comfortable that we're at our cruising altitude, which is very smooth. I was a little skeptical to see if we were going to be getting any chop, to see if I would have to adjust it, but thank God, because this plane is heavy and it almost doesn't even want to get up to 36,000 feet, but it is slowly. We got less than 200 to go. And then we'll get to our, there we go. So it made the altitude. So now, as we pitch down, we can most certainly get the aircraft to get up to cruising speed. Well, looks like weather's updating there. So slowly but surely. Okay, let's go ahead and throw it in the VNav. Alright, now we are VNaving. You see that our speed of our cruising speed right here, Mach 0.81, is essentially below the barber's pole, so we will not be overstressing the aircraft. Plus, it's kind of what the aircraft decided to do on its own. Actually, let's do Mach 0.801. I did 0.81. Well, actually, it's following its own stuff, so never mind there. Alright, folks, we have leveled out. Let's go ahead and grab that tablet. Let's go ahead and let the folks know that we are leveling off.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign, and you may now move about the cabin. However, we always recommend to keep your seatbelt fastened while you're seated. You may now turn on your electronic devices, such as calculators, CD players, and laptop computers.
Alright.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a few moments, the flight attendants will be passing around the cabin to offer you cold drinks, as well as a light meal. Please make sure your seats are in an upright position and prepare your folding shoes.
Okay, fuel is looking good. Trying to wait till we get up to our cruising speed to see what the computer is saying as far as our fuel on board. Okay, dim. Some wipers. Alright, everything up top is looking good. We have no messages. Let's go ahead and put our lower display unit here onto status. Everything's looking good there. Just keep it on there. Auto brakes off. Alright. She's doing her best to get to speed there. Alright, let's come over to your side quick. I've got to get you to move up slightly too. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and look at your FMC. And as far as fuel getting there, now it's saying we're going to have 15,000 pounds of fuel, which is good. That's what we want. Okay, top of descent, basically 1,000 miles. So you see here, we'll be flying for a hot minute. 10, 11, 12. Whew, we got a ways to go. 5+ hours right there, folks. But we knew what the deal was. All right, folks. So we are pretty much almost all the way up to our cruising speed. And we're going to put you on this side. And we're going to cruise. And once we get closer, we'll do some trip planning and arrive. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave you guys in charge as usual. Want you guys to pretty much stay up here and monitor the aircraft. As you can see, not much to look at except Charminville here. So we will be cruising on our way to Hawaii. Once again, welcome aboard flight Delta Airlines 318 service from Anchorage to Honolulu. So far, everything has been copacetic. Thank you guys for being great first officers. I look forward to your banter, so make sure you make some comments. You know, if you got something to teach me, don't hesitate to let me know about myself. You know, teach me, pay it forward. All right, just double checking, everything looks good. Looks like we are fully up to speed. So let's just cruise here for a second. I'm gonna get out of your hair and more than likely go back with the passengers and sit back there while you guys handle it up here, which I know you can do. So in the meantime, sit back, relax, and enjoy this flight as we rock on to some tunes. There you go, just bounce your head a little bit. Bounce that head a little bit and have some fun with it. All right, guys, you're in charge. See you in a bit. All right, we have been cruising for quite some time up here at flight level 360 on our way to Honolulu from Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport. So with that being said, let's get a little update. Thank you guys once again for holding down the spot for me. Let's go ahead and jump over to the first officer side, of course. I mean the captain side. And let's get down to business here. All right. Okay, so if we come over to the FMS, we've got 126 nautical miles to go until our top of descent. I have verified the weather, which I'll now share with you guys. So it's looking like it is going to be an eastern landing. Okay, so as you can see here, the winds are out of basically the northeast at 6 knots. It is VFR conditions, and we have a few clouds at 2,300 and a few clouds at 3,500. 10 miles of visibility. It is 64 degrees Fahrenheit or else 25 Celsius, and the altimeter is 3005. That is the latest and greatest. Now let's check out the VATSIM scope. Here we are. There's one departure and one arrival, us being the arrival. So we are most certainly dialing it in. So we will be doing our call outs on Unicom. So we covered the weather. Now we're going to be landing on runway 8. So I've got some coordinates here that I programmed in. So this essentially here is the last waypoint, Charlie Kilo Hotel. I'm planning to be here, let's say at 4,400. And then I'm going to type these waypoints in so that we can get on to the ILS for runway 8 left. So we'll be covering that here shortly. Now let's go ahead and look at our ILS information for our approach and start typing that in. Things are going to start getting busy here on our descent. And we're also going to mess with the FMS as well. just to ensure that we got the waypoints in there. So there's Jevit, that's that point when we were coming across this way, and then we're going to get on the ILS. So now we need to type in a localizer for Honolulu of 111.7, and the approach course is 79. So essentially we're coming down, we will be south of the field, okay, and then we're going to come back, do a northern turn, and then back to the east. On in for runway 8 left, which is right next to the terminal. So let's get our approach course of 79 in, and our localizer information. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump down to the lower pedestal here. Now this thing, before when I first used it, I was like, hey, this thing's not working. You spin it, and it doesn't do anything. But they must have fixed it, because before you had to do something different to get this to come on. So this is essentially in this aircraft where we put the final approach course on. So we said that course was going to be 79. All right, and the localizer is 111.7. So now we have the approach course checked, 111.7 with an approach course of 079. The minimums are for a radio decision altitude is 213 feet. So we're good there. Now we won't even mess with this because this doesn't have anything to do exactly with our ILS approach course. But I'm thinking we might want to try to put it in just to be on the safe side. So 111.7 is not even available. You see that? Because we have it down for the ILS. So I just proved my own point. All right, let's get that back up. All right, so now we see we have our turn coming up. So now we are going to essentially start adding some waypoints here and making some changes. We still got a ways to go to our top of the descent, about 80 nautical miles. So this is the perfect time for us to come in here and add the waypoints that I want and the altitudes. So let's go over to the route. And after CKH, we are going to put in those other coordinates, and then we're going to make our altitudes. So after CKH, we're putting in UCA. And then from UCA, we're putting in Ritz. And then from Ritz, we're putting in Jevit. Now we'll go ahead and execute that. Let's make sure that's now on our legs page. And then so now let's fix this up. So we're going to make sure at CKH we're going to be at 250. And that may be a little fast actually. Let's be at 230. And we're going to want to be we'll be at 4,400 for now. So let's get that plugged in here. All right, so that's all plugged in now. So essentially now we should be, I guess, descending. So now it probably gave us an earlier descent. So we got 105 nautical miles to Sophie, and we have 80 nautical miles to start descending. So let's look at that again. about 20 nautical miles, and we'll be dropping down, so that's about right. So we still have a nice descent. And then at Jevit, we should essentially be at 3,000, which is correct. Okay. So I like that. Let me double check our approach chart. And actually Jevit should be at 3,500 feet to be specific. And by the time we're there, we should be doing probably 190. So we're not playing around. And we need to be, I said, at 3,500 feet. So now let's plug that in. So we got 230, 40, 400 feet. So now we are really going to do good on our descent. And then once we get going, we can essentially... So now that we know we're essentially going to want at least go down to 4,400 feet, let's go ahead and put this all the way down to 4,400 feet in anticipation that the aircraft will go ahead and start descending on its own. And then we'll talk about our taxi and what gate we're going to right now. Alright, so we'll leave it there now, even though Jevit's at 4,400. Because what I'm going to do is once we get turned direct to Ritz, I'm going to go ahead and put the aircraft into the heading mode. That way we can make sure that we get our approach and everything plugged into the computer. Alright, so let's keep her here for a second. Let me get my scratch pad out. So I want to write down the altimeter. So the gate we're parking at today is Echo 5. But I'm going to go ahead and get the altimeter again and write that down, which I've already shared with you guys. Let me refresh the page. Alright. So just refreshed it. Winds are still out of the east now at 40 knots, which is still okay. Now there is a runway 4, but it's across the field, so I still do a crosswind, bit of a crosswind landing and land on runway 8 left, especially because there's no one there, and we'll make an announcement. The altimeter is 3006, so I'm going to write that down. Now, let's pull the charts back in and take a look at our landing. Okay, so we are landing on ILS runway 8 left. Okay, now if we look at the airport, let's orientate ourselves first. Okay, so we're coming in right here on 8 left. Now just be aware, threshold of runway 8 left difficult to determine due to taxiway Tango. So we really need to be able to discern that this is the actual runway. So we'll make sure we're on a good heading, 79 degrees. So we always want to read the NOTAMs. Alright, anyway, this is the runway. It's nice and long, 12,312 feet. And essentially we can coast all the way almost even to Kilo here before we get off. If we pass that, we'll be in a little bit of trouble. So we definitely need to make sure we're stopping accordingly. And then this is the main terminal here. Again, we're parking at gate Echo 5, which I believe to be in here, but let's go ahead and look at these parking spots and coordinates. So it's going to be on this middle concourse here, and it's going to be from the corner, the third gate in right here. It'll be 2 to the left and should be about 2 to the right. So we're right smack dab in the middle. So essentially, now let's look at our taxi. Now that we know we're dead in the middle of this concourse here, let's go back to our taxi information. Okay, so essentially what we can do, land. Now it would be ideal to get Delta here. So we'll get on a little bit more of an aggressive braking to see if we can make Delta. But if not, we can make Hotel and it's almost the Same difference. I mean, Delta is a little bit smoother. We won't overdrive or over taxi this, but if we happen to come to a hotel, then we could just come back and bust a left. And even down if we catch Echo. So no worries there. Worst case scenario, we get kiloed if we float the landing or something, which we hope we don't. But you know, we got to plan for the worst and hope for the best. For real. All right, so that is a plan. So let me pull this back out. I might share something else with you guys since we're doing a little bit of planning here. Let's jump down here and look and see how far we have to go until our top of descent. Oh, 36 nautical miles. So we're getting ready to go to work, folks. Okie dokie. It's getting real. It's getting real. All right. Let's check up top really quick before we continue anything else. All right, now let's check our tablet. Just make sure that we don't need to make any announcements. Okay, let's get this going.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat belts and tray tables are in their upright position. Make sure your seat belt is securely fastened, and all carry-on luggage is still underneath the seat in front of you, or in the overhead bins. Please turn off all electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gate. We hope that you found our flight enjoyable. We would like to remind you that cushions and blankets are to be left in your seats. Thank you.
Alright, last thing we want to do before we start our descent, let's go ahead and put this in the map mode. And let's go ahead and step through our flight plan quick. Actually, we could probably change that up slightly. Alright. CKH to Hooka to Ritz to Jevit. It looks nice, folks. I know I hit the wrong OSB. Let's get back to program. And let's get this back on our correct display. And we'll change that up here in a minute. Alright, so hopefully it's a scenic view. So I don't even want to mess with the departure and arrival stuff because sometimes it makes you start going to a direct heading. Excuse me. Like I said, once we get to CKH and we get on that heading, I'll go ahead and get the ILS information in. That's where we're landing, and it'll be no problem. So we won't rush there. We'll just got to make sure that our heading and course is plugged in correctly so that when we make that turn, we're good to go. Now I just want to give you guys some news here too. What I'm going to start doing on some of my flights that I'll still be recording a video and posting to YouTube. I'm also gonna, as I record those flights, I'm gonna Twitch those, and then I'm gonna take those recordings and then put them on YouTube, so you guys might be able to start watching some live flights that I'll do on Twitch. So Dre_Sanchez is my Twitch channel. You also see the same branding there for the Motivated Sim Pilot stuff, so you'll be able to check it out there too. I'll let you guys know what the schedule is. Well, it looks like it's updating. Alright, let's go back to the cabin. See that nice high sun right there on that wing? Beautiful there. There's some type of glitch with X-Plane. See, the sun is blaring and it's got this white reflection off the water, so that's got to be obviously some type of glitch there. I notice it anywhere where the sun is shining so bright. You won't have it on this side, of course. Alright. Loud back there, man. Alright, so we got top of descent coming up. 2 nautical miles, folks. Let's go to work. Still got a good fuel getting in, 12.6, so it's 12,600 pounds, which it switched up a little bit. Okay, it's time to go to work. Let's see, it says drag required, but I'll be the judge of that. We're bleeding speed, that's fine. Okay, folks, we have officially started our descent. Let's make our announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you that use of all electronic devices during descent and landing is prohibited as it may interfere with the navigational equipment. Thank you.
Alright, let's look at our auto brakes here. We want a pretty aggressive stop. We don't want max or 4. I'm thinking we can, we're heavy, so let's get the brakes on to 3. I've added some extra fuel on there as well. So if we stop a little quicker than we want to, then that's fine. Try to get those auto brakes off. Alright, again, let's reduce our view here. And let me just double check the winds once again so we can make final concessions. The wind is at 5 knots. I like it. It's nice and slow. We can land this baby full flaps. There's nothing gusting or anything like that. So we're going to go to the initial ref. And we're going to pick this landing speed. And we're going to punch that right in there. Okay, so now this is the VREF. Okay, so it's still up to us to determine what the actual landing speed will be. So we're going to add 10 knots. We're going to add 5 because you add 5 to the VREF speed for an approach speed with no wind. We do have a 5-knot crosswind. So we might even be able to just add 7. So we'll just say V approach will be 150 to 147. So we'll write that range down. 147, altimeter is going to be 3006. So we've got our flap speed, everything in there. So it's 139 and 30 is what it's saying. So we know our range, and then we'll monitor that. I'll see how the aircraft feels. So I'll be hand flying it down to the runway. Alright, we do have our decision height, which should be updated once we put the ILS information in. Right now it's at 200 here. So again, 200 above is roughly like 200 and between 27 and 213 feet. So we're going to be pretty low at that point. We'll have already made a determination as to our course of action. Alright, so let's look where we're currently at so we can make a call out. We're 33 nautical miles. We're now 32 from Maggie, descending on the Maggie 3 arrival, so we can make a call out to that effect to let pilots know that we are inbound for runway 8 left. We'll be transitioning on to the final with Jevit. So let's come down here and make sure that our frequency is all good to go. And it is. And even if we're too far out, we did see there was that one departure. Alright, so we got 28 to Maggie. Honolulu traffic, Delta 318 is 27 nautical miles, and we are headed southwest towards the field, towards Maggie. Expecting ILS full stop landing runway 08 left. Transitioning Jevit to final for Honolulu traffic. Alright. Alright. A lot of stuff to say there. Tend to stumble every now and then. Hopefully they can pick that up and make sense of that. Let's go ahead and look at what our descent profile is saying now. Now that we're going to get some more information on our HSI. So descending to 4400's got us right here, right where we want to be. So the crest or the summit of this here is going to, should, once we make this turn, should line up right here, which is copacetic. And at some point we'll manage our altitude and all that stuff if we want to. Got a wind from the north, so we got a little bit of a tailwind now because the wind is coming from the north, pushing us on our butt. About a 10 knot wind, but the aircraft doesn't need any extra drag. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and arm our auto brakes. So that is effectively armed. Let's see, disarmed, armed. So our auto brake is armed. So far in our landing checks, we do have the auto brake to 3, and we have checked our fuel stores, of course. All right, and of course we're missing the yokes right here because essentially they would be right smack dab in the middle. So that's what you guys are missing there. So we won't put those on because effectively we need to be able to see this. That's why you don't see any yokes there. Alright, you can see some other islands off over here, which we'll probably island hop to. But we are essentially heading this way and around this body of land. Alright, let's go ahead and double check our legs page here. Check our speeds. 283, 240, 230. And absolutely Jevid at 190. Could probably bear to be a little bit slower than that, but our approach speed is about 150, so that's only 40 knot disparity, which is just fine. Alright, initial ref, double check that. That's all good to go. Check our progress. We should be landing with about 12,300 pounds of fuel. Okay, let's go into our missed approach procedure. Alright, let's pull this back in for a second. We got to keep an eye on this here though. Okay, so if we have a missed approach, we will climb to 500, then climbing right turn to 5,000, outbound on HNL VOR radio 171 to Alana, intersection, to be DME 13.9 nautical miles for HNL, and hold. Continue to climb and hold to 5,000. So, we got to get on that radio here. So if we have a missed approach, we come back around, we swing to 171 on the outbound radio from the Honolulu VOR, and then we head direct to Alana, okay, intersection, which should be about let's see, what is it, 13.9 nautical miles along that track. That's why this isn't to scale. And then if you see the D13, that's exactly where the hold is at Alana. So then we just go and enter this hold. So essentially we'll be heading straight over here. We'll enter the hold this way and make it happen. And there are different ways to enter the hold. For example, you come this way, you basically come back and make a teardrop. But if we're coming straight on, we can even come this way and then you just loop back around and merge back in right here on the heading, which is what we could do. So even if, you know, because there's, yeah, we'd have to hit it that way. Anyway, that's it. It's also here again. Climb 500, right climbing turn to 5,000 on the outbound radio 171 for H&L. So essentially you could put this in here now if we really wanted to follow that and have the nav radios follow that. Look, you're still getting that weird thing from the sun there. So essentially, we could do, let's see, 8, and we're going to do 114. And then the radio, and see, this is a course heading, so that's what we're going to put in there. We're going to put 171 in there. Okay, so we got 171 in there, and 114.8. And we'll do that same thing for the other side. Goes that weird glare. That's just what it is. It's supposed to be a glare off the water. You see that? So if you get closer, it does look realistic. From high up, it just looks like something weird. You know, not that I can do any better. All right, let's get a better look here. What's going on? All right, so let's get that heading on track. Now, once we make our turn to Uka, we should be at a 255 heading. So let's get this set up for 255. That way we can get our heading on, and then I'll go ahead and click speed, and we'll manage it that way. Once we're there, and I'll have full control of the aircraft. All right, now we are at 12,000, so let's make sure our altimeter indicates that we're at 3006. Oops, I always do that. Saw me do it twice today already. See, and then we got an altitude disagree right away. That's all right. We're going to fix that. All right, let's get rid of that disagree. All right, we'll leave the first officer's stuff there. We'll get this on the initial ref in case we need to take a peek at that. Now let's get this on that approach. Let's get that on that VOR again, 114.8. And we said the heading is supposed to be 171 radio. Outbound. Alright, so that's for our missed approach. Once we intercept the localizer and all that, then we'll put our altitude setting up to 5,000 in case we go missed. That's what we're going to do. Alright, aircraft is slowing itself down. And we could probably give it some assistance. All right. And you can see the spoiler out now. Go ahead and retract it. Should be down to speed now. Pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and rearm that. Auto brake. Alright, we are below 10,000 feet. And let's get everything on. Alright, we have all of our lights on for landing. We're going to come across here, then we'll do a western turn. Alright folks, I'm going to go ahead and take the aircraft over. Now I will be monitoring the speed. Going to bring that back to 230 now. And that actually is going to be good right there. Because at Ritz, we should still be at 4,400. So I like it. And actually, we can get less aggressive. The descent. And that'll help us not be nose pitched down so much. Again, as soon as we make our turn, I'm going to put it in the heading mode. And then we'll go in and get our ILS stuff put in the computer. That way we can do a good enough job to intercept it and get ourselves into the field. Again, looking at the airport information, we want to try to make, if we can, taxiway Delta. So Delta or Sierra, they kind of do this weird split, but either of those are sufficient, and they do cross another taxiway. Again, we're going right into that middle concourse, the middle gate smack dab in the middle. It's a lot of use of the word middle. All right, all right. Everything is looking nice. But, you know, that's the thing. Everything can look nice, but everything can change at a moment's notice, so I am truly aware of that. So this aircraft does have a localizer and approach, and it also does have a hold. So if we're direct to a waypoint, we can hit this hold and it'll do a hold feature. But as it stands right now, we're just going to be worried about these two. We'll capitalize lateral, and then once that's captured, we'll go ahead and put this into the approach. The aircraft is automatically going to do an automatic landing, which we are most certainly not going to do. Oh, there we got some of the scenic view there of Honolulu. How beautiful is that? There's the runway over there on the opposite end of it. That was a treat. Let's go over and off to the first officer side and see if we can get more of that in. Oh, that is gorgeous, folks. Gorgeous. And this is why I like flying, folks. There's the runway there. All right. Turning right on course. Heading mode is selected. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get down to our departure arrival, ILS 08 left, and we're going to take that from Uka and execute that. Now we can go right in there, and then from Uka, we're going to say Ritz, right on in, execute that. And let's just double check before we get it back on there. So Uka, Ritz, runway 8. Okay, that's all good. It's even got the missed approach in there, so now we can go back to lateral navigation. Now let's go ahead and double check our, so at Jevit 3500, so Ritz is 4400 or above, and then 3,500 feet above is what we're looking at there. So I think we're good to go, folks. It's going to keep her nice and slow. Here in a second, let's go to the first officer side. Oh my goodness, folks. What a treat. What a treat. Look at that. That is a treat. I am so glad we have visibility coming in here. That is awesome. All right. That is awesome sauce. I love it. I'm so glad we have visibility coming in over the city. That makes me happy, as you can see. All right, let's go ahead and look at our flap speeds here. All right, for extending our flaps to flaps 1 is 245 and 225, so we're definitely getting ready to go for 1 for a speed check. Let's go ahead and double check our speed right now. All right, so we're going speed check flaps 1. Flaps are in transit. All right, and indicating. All right, we've got our minimums. That should bring the nose down slightly. Again, we got Rich above 4,400. So let's go ahead and get that 3,500 in there. So far, so good, folks. All right, now we're direct Ritz. All right, folks, it's getting real. Start bringing the power back. About 195. Speed check flaps 5. All right. Flying nice and slow now, folks. All right, let's go up and check the fuel. You can see here we've got the localizer is now becoming available. All right, as soon as we start making our turn, we'll arm the localizer, of course. Let's check our fuel source, 12.5. Pretty good, accurate assessment. Just absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to do some island flying around here. I'm kind of glad we did this, guys. It's a little bit hazy and dark out, but that's all right. It's been quite the long trip. All right, let's go ahead and activate our descent to 3,500. Let's get a look and see where that's at. It's about right. Let's go ahead and get that localizer armed. And we're going to look here and see what our flaps 15 is 215. So let's bring it down slowly but surely. Speed check, flaps 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. 15. Alright, we should be getting it right where we want to. Localizer is captured. Now we're just waiting on that glide slope. Honolulu traffic, Delta 318 is now turned to final, passing Jevit for Cozies for full stop, ILS 08 left for Honolulu traffic. Alright, got a good visual. Glide slope is captured. So let's go down to our 150 mark. Let's do last cross check. Lights are on. Auto brakes to 3. The auto spoiler has been armed. Okay, going for gear down. Alright, 3 green. And now we can alright, full flaps. Alright, folks. My aircraft. Alright. Alright, folks. Let's come and do this. Make sure those flaps are set to full. Flaps are to full. A bit low on the speed. All right, folks. Concentration is real, people. Alright, still looking pretty hazy out there.
1,000.
1,000 or 970 feet. You guys should see on the primary flight display. It just came up. $800 feet to go. 770. 670. Speed is good. 560. And we're going to make the decision to land now.
500.
500. We'll be landing. Minimum's landing. It's 200 feet.
100.
Glide slow.
40.
Glide
30.
slow.
20. 10.
All right. Reversers are on. All right. Reverse free. Welcome into Honolulu, folks. All right, we are going to ease off here to the left. Looks like we are going to make that delta. All right, let's come here. We'll make a quick stop. Honolulu traffic, Delta 318 is clear of runway 08 left on Sierra, holding short Alpha. Traffic. Alright, folks. Let's go ahead and clean up the aircraft here. Let's see. Auto brake is going to be off. Let's make sure our spoilers are disarmed here. Alright. There we go. Spoilers are down. And let's go ahead and get our landing lights off. We'll leave our runway turn off light and white. And we can go ahead and start that APU. Alright. Flaps are all up and retracted and indicated. And let's see, we're on Sierra. So essentially we just go straight across, folks. So we're going to come straight across. And this is our gate, should be over here. Alright. Honolulu traffic, Delta 318, going to continue taxi on Sierra to the ramp for gate Echo 5. So we do have some people that are here. They're not saying anything, that's alright. Anyway guys, thanks for once again flying here into the Honolulu area with me. As all, I do this for enjoyment, but I also do it because you guys are on board, so thank you. As always, I think it was a pretty interesting arrival, and I'm hoping to do some awesome flying around here. So there's that corner gate we talked about right there. 1, 2, so I see our gate. Our gate's rather small, but it says that this can really accommodate an aircraft this size. It just looks strangely small. So I think I'm going to make a gate change here to one that looks more appropriate. Which would be this one. Because that E5 looks super low. So we're going to come into this gate. So we made a last minute change because the other gate over there with that lower taxiway is E5. Slow our roll up.
Reach 1106, taxi to holding point runway 04 via Tango and Bravo.
All right. Let us jump outside since we don't have a marshaller. Let's come around. We can line it up with the door. And we're going to go for the second door. Alright, slightly more. Alright, parking brake is set, folks.